All right, welcome back. In this video, we're going to save the mushroom picker that the dwarven merchant was missing, steal some sussar flowers, and then probably do the mage tower. So we're going to switch to Lizelle and start at the Myconoid colony.
Objective noted.
And we're just going to run past Dareth and down here. So we're exiting out the west entrance and then taking an immediate right. Here's another hole that the boulette would drop. And we'll head over here. These bibberbangs will explode into poison, and if they're lit on fire, they will explode. We're just going to clear them out.
Show no mercy.
We're going to be in this area later. All right, so the mushroom picker is lost down in this area, and this is actually a really easy quest depending on how you approach it. So we're going to cast Featherfall and Enhance Sleep. We'll just jump right into the area. And there's an interaction before we can get started.
Stop! Stop! Bibberbang!
You recognize the name. Bibberbang, a mushroom that releases dangerous spores. Highly flammable.
We'll take option 1.
I know that! Scroll! Escape! My bag, please! I've dropped it somewhere!
All right, we'll tell him to hold tight.
Thank you, thank you!
And we can see his backpack's over here, and then there's a torch, so if the bigger bibberbang mushrooms go off, then they'll explode. So the key to navigating this is using turn-based mode. So we'll click dash and enter turn-based mode. And we'll just jump over next to his backpack and grab the scrolls of Misty Step and the scroll of Featherfall.
What are you doing? Get out of there!
We'll pick up this torch just in case they go off, then they won't explode. There's no other fire in the area. And we'll just walk right up next to him. So if we're going to try to throw the scroll of Misty Step, there's a check involved. If we're standing next to him, we'll just hand it to him.
My back, please!
So
Yes! That's... Yes!
you can see that we just have the option to hand it to him rather than trying to throw it to him successfully.
I just have to... And then... Here!
And as long as we're not very close to any of the bibberbangs, they won't go off. So we'll hit end turn,
Get out of here!
and Balin will bounce.
God. I can finally breathe.
Now, we're going to jump up on this ledge where there's a small hidden ring. So we can see that there's a skeleton hidden here with the explorer's ring on it. Not particularly useful, but it's sort of an interesting hidden item. And up here, we'll just go ahead and turn. If we were running low on duration for Featherfall and Jump, we could just cast it up here. We could exit turn-based mode and do whatever we want. We've got all the time in the world. Now, the important part of jumping down here is to make sure that you're not near any of the mushrooms, as the impact will set them off. So we'll drop plenty of space down. There's a buried treasure here. If you've got a shovel, you can open it. We'll dash, and we want to grab this noble stock, which is what the dwarves are down here for in the first place. And then run to the center of the area so none of the mushrooms are going to go off. And then while we're thinking of it, let's take this noble stock and we'll send this to the main character so that they can turn it in. And you see, while this thing is going off like a warning, it's not going to explode because we're too far away. And that's it for saving the mushroom picker. We're just going to jump back out and exit turn-based mode, and we'll talk with him.
Ah, right. What were you saying?
We'll ask him what he's doing.
I was looking for Dereth. She'll be worried sick. I must need to go. For you. Your trouble. Ta.
Okay, so we're going to head back to the ledge, and we're going to grab some sussar flowers and also the sussar bark for the Masterwork Weapon quest. Now, we're going to cast Enhanced Sleep and Jump again. The thing we want to make sure of is that the hook horror that's up on this branch is facing away. And these things will prevent us from casting, so we're going to have a limited time frame to do this. So we're going to cast Jump, Featherfall, Dash, and then enter turn-based mode. And we'll grab the Sussar Bloom, and then we're going to crouch and jump all the way across. And because we're sneaking, this hook horror is not going to see us. Now, right next to us on the tree branch is the Sussar tree bark, and we'll grab that. And then we'll head down and grab this other Sussar Bloom. And our goal here is to get all 4 of them. So the 2 that we picked up, this one, and then there's one down here. So we'll step behind this hook horror and end our turn. You can see they're going to path around a little bit. And if we want, we'll even get an idea of where they go. We can see that there's one looking at this area of the branch right now, which is going to prevent us from getting at the further down one. So we'll go ahead and just let the turn go. And we're going to jump all the way across here.
More monstrosities. There, on the cliff.
And dash.
One false move.
And we'll grab this bloom and head back. And then turn. You see everybody's just kind of walking around. Now we're going to jump down to save on movement and try to get to this last bloom.
Found and taken.
Now, if we somehow get into combat, it doesn't matter if we survive. Withers can just bring us back. There's only one person in this area, but usually we're going to be able to just jump back out. It really depends on where the sight lines land. And the first round of combat with the Hook Warriors usually involves them doing an ability called Echoes in the Dark, where they call their friends. So even if we're caught, we still have a round to get away. And we'll just jump out. And at this point, we can just exit turn-based mode and leave.
An efficient path.
So we've got the sussar blooms that we want, and we're going to map travel to the Underdark Beach, and we're going to go through the Mage Tower. There are a couple of ways of getting through the Mage Tower. One is by using all these sussar blooms. Another, we can, if we want to, let me run back out of the targeting area here. If we want to, we can just sneak, so we could run over to here where the rock is providing some cover, and then run to here and climb up and sneak up, come through the window of the thing, and then run to the side and jet down. This particular way, where we're just going to disable and break the cannons, is more experience. The cannons themselves are worth 40 XP apiece. So basically, we're going to go into turn-based mode and run within range of throwing, and we'll throw one of the blooms right in front of the cannon. And then we can exit turn-based mode. And we'll come over to the side. And jump up here. Same deal. We'll dash. Enter turn-based mode. Step up to the top before the cannon has a chance to fire at us. And throw one of the blooms right next to the cannon. Alright, and that disables the outside defenses. Just for climbing up the stairs, we get 40 experience. And then we will get our weapon out and see if we can damage this thing. Let's try a giant axe. I think we need a big hammer. And in order to get a big hammer, we'd have to leave the Underdark for right now. Let's see what else we've got in our inventory here. Yeah, looking bad on that. We'll jump really quickly to Joaquin's Rest.
Can't slow down.
And grab a giant hammer.
Great guard helm. Allow us peace in this plane and beyond. Teach us care when we would be reckless. Teach us certainty when we would have doubt. So it is spoken, and so is it done.
So running through the front door, we'll run to the back and pick up this water barrel, go up the stairs, and open the door. and set the water barrel inside. Stronger characters can just throw it and put all the fire out. All we need is just enough to step in the room without getting burned. We'll loot this chest, and then if we come over on the floor, we'll find a big hammer. And we'll jump back to Lizelle. Equip our giant hammer and smash a turret for 40 experience points.
Quickly then.
So if we were to remove you can see they're respawning. If we were to remove the blooms, they would start shooting again. And they'll do that until we turn the tower on. So we're going to break all the turrets, and then after we turn the tower on, we can come collect the blooms again. So we'll run up to this area where there's a broken window. We'll dash, enter turn-based mode, jump through the window, where we see there's 2 more cannons. So we'll throw a bloom, exit turn-based mode, and come over here just a little ways. Basically, we're just waiting for the counter to come back up again. We'll dash, enter turn-based mode, and throw our last flower. And now we can exit turn-based mode and smash the cannons. And before we go any further, we're going to come out the side door here.
Curious.
Where we find a scroll and the chest of the mundane. And the items in here are just disguised items, so when we pick them up, they become different things than what we picked up. So these boots and some other things. All right, so the tower is all about reading the books that are inside of it. Specifically, don't read this one, the Dusty Book. This is the book that if you quote it will cause the Tower Guardian to go hostile, which is not something we're going to do on this run. We're not interested in fighting Bernard. We're going to open these doors, walk out to the back, cast Featherfall, and jump down to the bottom. This is absolutely harrowing if you're afraid of heights. All right, so landing, we got a shovel, there's some buried treasure here,
Securing.
and 2 more blooms. And just reference, even if you don't find the survival items, they're still available. So if you just drop your shovel on your bar and click the ground, you can see that we'll dig up any treasure that you happen to find. So if you know where the items are, they're always accessible. And if you don't turn off the failed perception check, anytime one of those perception checks goes off, you can just dig. We'll lockpick the door with this giant hammer. Axes would be faster for doors, but this one's good enough. And over here by the boiler for the place, we can see that there are some leaves on the ground. This is our clue that what we want to put in here is the sussar flowers. And when we do the tower, we'll turn back on. a neat cinematic showing all the lights turning back on, the defenses turning back off, and giving us a preview of what we're going to find. So there are a few ways of getting access to different parts of the tower. This is the easiest of them. So looting the area, there's lots and lots of scrolls and alchemical items, and this is one of the places where we can actually access some of the clothing items that you can find in the game a little earlier than normal. I'm going to skip that, but feel free, if that's something that you want to do in your game. There's different outfits and stuff. At the top of the stairs, there's a gilded chest. We'll loot this for an amulet that does detect thoughts. So we don't need really scrolls of detect thoughts or to memorize that, although we'll probably end up with a bunch of additional potions of it. To work the elevator, there are buttons that are on the floor for ascend and descend. So we'll click ascend and come out on this floor. This is where we would find the ingredients for Omelium's potion, although we're not going to talk to Omelium in this playthrough. So we're going to read the Threadbare book. So if you're not familiar, Threadbare means well read. And so this is the book that the tower's owner read the most. And we're going to need this quote for our interaction with Bernard
Such
later.
tedium. No blades, no battle cries.
We'll loot the Tongues of Madness. And then on the other side, the Tamask Spores, which are the quest items that we'd be looking for Omelium. And we'll head back into the elevator and go up another floor. You can see that we now have a descend button, and we'll keep going up. This is the floor that we were already on, so we could collect our blooms right now, but we'll come back for those later. And we'll ascend another floor, and we'll advance Lazelle's quest over here. So if you don't have Lazelle and you're not playing a Gith, on the table here you'll find the careful art of Tissue ciphers. This allows you to translate the discs that are in Githyanki. So you can pick that up, and then any of the other discs you'll have no trouble reading. There's a torn out paper that we can read that will cause Bernard to hug us. We've got this engraved Githyanki disc, and when Lazelle reads it, we're going to get some experience and advance her quest.
This disc is embellished with Tirsu script. But every glyph is bent or mirrored, every symbol disordered. I can make no sense of it. Ah, the cipher. I can use it to unmuddle this mess. Yes, I see shape. I see structure. I see a story. The Prince of the Comet, Part 1. So it was that we were free from Geich shackles and turned our blades on each other. The heavens were shattered, and one great empire was divided in two. Gith traveled to the Hells to broker help for her people, her cause. Vlaakith would have you believe Mother Gith proclaimed her our queen. Lies. Gith made no such proclamation. Vlaakith seized the Empire against the Mother's wishes. But Gith had nurtured a son, Orpheus, Prince of the Comet, the true heir. He knew Vlaakith's treachery. Orpheus rallied Gith's honor guard and declared the throne for himself. The War of the Comet had begun. All of it drivel. Gith declared Vlaakith Queen of the Empire, and her own son defied her. Orpheus would have ceded control to the Geich.
So that was worth 95 experience and totally worth doing. There's some books. We're going to read the book The Roads to Darkness. And this will cause Bernard to give us the ring guiding light, which is a reference to soap operas. And I'm just grabbing the scrolls from here, but if you want to grab the books and read them or sell them, that's fine. Over here, there's a button. If you've got the collar from the boulette, whose grave is kind of over here, and you press the button, it will dump food into your inventory. This is the system that was used to feed the pet when it was a dog. Another ring with some skill bonuses. We probably won't use it until Act 3. And then if you've got the deluxe edition, you can see some posters throughout the game of different characters from Divinity Original Sin 2. This is the Beast. All right, so we've read the Threadbare book, and we've read The Roads to Darkness, so we're going to ascend to the top level and meet the Tower Guardian.
New sounds to the damp and dark oppression range. Is it the foe? That foul, contemptuous heel?
You know these words. They are from the opening stanza of a play you found in this very tower.
And we will take option 1 to quote the response.
Come out of love for me, not love for blood and steel. Command as you see fit, my lord, my liege.
And we'll quote the How Can I Trust?
If you do not the deepest secret show, reveal the truth, give what you wish to see.
Now, there's also a scrap of paper over here that we can read, and if we quote that to Bernard, he'll give us a healing potion. So while we're at the top here, we're going to walk over and grab the Club of Giant Strength. Now you can see, because we've got a sussar flower on us, that these animated armors will stop working when we're near them. But this is not true of Bernard. Now, this chair is different from the rest. It sits Stool of Hill Giant Strength. We'll move it out to where we can sit on it. When we sit down, we get strong. And so what we're going to do is attack the chair.
It is no silver sword, but that chair leg may be a useful weapon.
And pick up the Club of Hill Giant Strength that's left over. We're going to use this item quite a lot through the game, if for nothing else than to allow people to jump that don't have a lot of physical strength. This bookcase usually has some scrolls on it. And if you've got a high perception and you step over here, there's a button that is hidden that will open the door to the basement. But we don't need it because we read all the Roads to Darkness and Bernard gave us the key to the tower. So we're going to put on the ring guiding light, and the character will notice, wow, there's a button that will now take us to the basement that's appeared. So we'll click that and come to the basement of the tower, where we'll find a bunch more treasure. So we'll grab the spores, the scrolls that are in the bookcases, and just grabbing all the scrolls because they're light and they're worth a lot, so we can trade them for other things we'd rather have. And then there's some books that define the backstory of the tower that we're going to skip. The Staff of Arcane Blessing is a great item for combat. mostly trying to not do combat, but if we were doing combat heavy groupings, we would use the staff a lot. We've also got this anti-electrocution ring that probably won't come into play, and some other items. And then if we ever wanted to come back, we can even go over to the hallway and unlock the door. With this lever. You can actually see through here the stairs from the room that we entered in, right? So this is the room with the engine. And we could have cast a mage hand down in this area and had it unlock the door and just gone straight down. But the tower is pretty fun, and I like the backstory for it. And so we did it the, I don't know what you would call it, the conventional way. Now we're going to head back up and grab the sussar flowers that we left, because we're going to use those in the Grimforge to deactivate the animated armors that are there. Now, we don't actually need all of the flowers, but we'll take them. And in fact, if you put them in a container before you send them to your camp, you can keep these for the entirety of the game. You can take them out of the Underdark and cause some hijinks later on if we wanted to force folks to not be able to cast spells. There's a chest over here with a magic hammer and some additional money. So that if we're moving around and I don't forget, because I've done that before, I'm going to have Lizelle immediately go to the Selûnite outpost and drop these blooms on the ground, just in case I hop to camp or something with her. These can get destroyed if you count as having left the Underdark. This is where we're going to end this video, and I will catch you in the next one.